What's going on, guys? This is Damian from The Lookout, that is Evie from The Lookout, and welcome to the second part out of our 5-part video series for absolute beginners. Today we are covering yellow. In the first part we have covered red, so if you've missed it, link is in the description below. And this time we don't have a sponsor, so dive right into the video. Alright, today we are talking about yellow, and the way that you play yellow is you play absolute control. So you're just tapping your opponent's cards, they are entering in rest mode, you're negating their skills, you're countering their counters. If preventing your opponents from playing the game sounds fun to you, and it sounds amazing to me, then you will like yellow. So let's look at all of these different aspects. Putting cards into rest mode is something that yellow does a lot, and you can do this for cheap or basically for free through various cards like combos, extra cards, battle cards. There are many ways that you can do this, and you have payoffs like this Bergamo who enters when something is put into rest mode and he rests two other things. When it comes to counters, yellow has some of the better counters in the game if you ask me, and while they cannot specifically prevent opponents from playing something, they can put those cards into rest mode. They can force your opponents to rest cards when they want to attack you, or you have this cooler, which is one of the few cards in the game who can counter a counter card. So yellow has very powerful counters to choose from. And finally we have yellow's ability to negate skills. So you have a couple of cards in yellow that can allow you to blank your opponent's cards, which means like these cards either enter the game without any skills on them for the turn, or they lose all of their skills for the turn. So basically all of these that you see like double strike, dual attack, blocker, you're just negating them, you're blanking cards, and it's something that is unique to yellow. Lastly, let's look at some payoffs. You have like these trunks which destroys things which are in rest mode. You have Bergamo, you have already seen this. You have Putin, which enters for free if something is put into rest mode. So you have like things that happen when you do things, mostly when you put your opponent's cards into rest mode. So you have very powerful payoffs. But now let's move to budget concerns, and yes, they are quite budget concerns. Okay, now we need to have a serious talk about budget. You see, there are a lot of budget concerns when it comes to yellow. Unfortunately, unlike red, these staple cards, the cards that you need to play yellow very efficiently, have not been reprinted. I mean, a lot of them haven't been reprinted, and thus they are extremely expensive. And yellow really relies when you having these staples. So what am I talking about when I say expensive? Here, let's take a look. Okay, these are the staple cards that you need to play yellow, and before you get completely shocked, like yeah, these prices are pretty high. Like for example, this Son Goku Steadfast Assistance just came out, and set 15 is $25. You need 4 of them. Frieza, $22, a bit cheaper, a lot cheaper in Europe, still you need 4 of them. Power of the Super Saiyan, $18, 4 of them. Vegeta's Final Flash, okay, $15, you can get away without 4 of them. Some decks don't even play them anymore. Let's say like 1, let's say like 1 to 2, depends. And then you have like Turles, All Too Easy. If you're playing a Saiyan leader, that's another guaranteed 4 of them. So we're looking at like above $200 even to get into yellow alone. But luckily while you need these cards to be very competitive and super efficient, there are budget alternatives. So let's take a look at them. Okay, alternatives might be a strong word, but here are some budget staples that can help you get going. You have like Cooler, you need only 1, it's not too expensive. Frieza's Army Reinforcements, a staple counter, costs cents. Flying Nimbus, yeah, if you don't have Frieza Robotic Riposte, it's not a complete, it's not a complete alternative, but it's a floodgate. So yeah, and it's super cheap. You have Trunks as a Unison, which is cheap. Krillin is your main super combo, doesn't cost anything, and luckily you need one copy of Bergamo, super cheap as well. So you see, you can build yellow on a budget, but it won't be as good. So do we have any deck recommendations? Yep, let's look at them. Deck recommendations. For extreme budget we have Helku, then we have Shenron, which is budget-ish, it's not the most expensive yellow deck, and lastly, for very competitive players who want to get into the game and aren't interested in budget concerns, we have Icarus, which is at the start of 2022 the best deck in the game. But let's first look at Helku. Starting on an extreme budget we have Helku. You can get Helku for, I don't know, $10, 10 euros with shipping depending on the place, of course. The most expensive card is the Unison, which at least in Europe is like €1, maybe like €1.50 depending where, and the other cards are like 50 cents, 5 cents. It doesn't cost anything. It's a great deck for beginners, but it has a consistency problem, which means that it either goes off and you win, or it just breaks and you lose horribly. So yeah, for beginners it's a super cheap deck if you want to get the feeling of yellow. It doesn't require any of those expensive staples to be powerful, but it welcomes them. So you can buy this deck for cheap and then continue to upgrade it with those expensive staples as you get like more money, or how do you decide how do you want to handle your budget regarding yellow. And at some point, if you are tired of Helku, you can easily transition into another yellow Saiyan deck like Icarus, for example. Then we have Shenron. Yellow Shenron has always been like close to the top when it comes to yellow decks, depending on the metagame. It's a very, very powerful deck that is very strong, you know, in the hands of a experienced pilot. What's an upside here is that Shenron doesn't rely on those super expensive staples. It has its own closed engine. It has space for some of those staples, of course, but a majority of the deck is yellow Shadow Dragons. This creates a problem where you, unlike Helku, you cannot really transition from Shenron to a different deck because it overly relies on its existing engine, which doesn't have a place anywhere else. But if you're looking for a very powerful deck with a bit higher budget than Helku, go with Shenron. For our final deck recommendation we have Icarus, which is arguably the best deck in the game. This is the most expensive, the most competitive yellow deck that you can get, period. So this is like the good yellow stuff.exe deck. So it's super consistent, it draws a lot, and it plays all of those powerful staples that I have shown you earlier in the video. So it costs an extreme amount of money to get into from scratch, but if budget isn't a concern and you're a super competitive player, go with Icarus. And with that being said, we are closing the video. And with that being said, we have reached the end of this video. If you have enjoyed it, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are on our way to 500 subscribers. It's amazing, all of you are amazing, and keep a lookout for more content.